Hi everyone, this is David from MyStartupTV, and today I'm talking with business coach and mentor and advisor Tala Chisholm. So Tala, welcome to today's program.
Thank you, David. Welcome to you.
Why is thinking too small a mistake that small business owners or startups can make?
Okay, so let me start by explaining first what I mean by thinking too small. So thinking too small is thinking like an employee, not being able to remove oneself from the thought process of an employee, which is I'm going to do a job that may, in normal circumstances, have been done by an employee of someone and charging an hourly rate for that, and a fair hourly rate, which may be a little bit more than what you would normally have charged or been paid as an employee. So that could be, people might be thinking to themselves, I'll have my own business, I'll have the freedom, I'll work from home, I'm going to do admin or VA type of work, I'm going to do bookkeeping, I'm going to do some marketing work, I'm going to do, freelance type of stuff. And they set an hourly rate and they say to themselves, well, I'm happy to earn, $25 an hour or $30 an hour or $35, depending on the job, of course. And it stops at that. And the problem with that is they don't consider everything else that goes with being a business, which is, as you mentioned before, finding new clients. Unless you were in sales or in marketing in a job, you were not responsible for finding all of the clients. You were fed the clients and you serviced the clients. Or if you were in sales and marketing, you were feeding the clients to someone else, and that someone else had to deliver. So you only had to worry about one thing or the other. In this case, you're having to worry about everything. So you're finding the clients, you're doing any marketing, you're networking, you're doing your own bookkeeping, you're putting time into putting together proposals to gain clients. There's risks associated. You're not getting paid any benefits. Like in a normal job, you get paid the benefits and the holiday pay and the sick leave and all that stuff. When you're looking at an hourly rate, that stuff has to be factored in if you want to be at least in a similar position to what you would have been if you were an employee. So that is not, quite often people don't think that when they say, oh, I'll charge $25 an hour, or I'll charge $30 an hour, or whatever it is that I'm charging. They haven't really thought through all of that. And then it's risky because at any minute you can lose the client. In an employment situation, at least you have the security of, the warning system and all of the other regulatory restrictions on the employer that are designed to help you as an employee. They don't exist when you're a freelancer or doing contracting type of work.
And if I can summarize what you've just said, the message I'm hearing is that an employee, if they start work at 9 o'clock in the morning and they finish at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, they get paid from 9 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So they're 8 hours and they get paid for 8 hours. Whereas if you're self-employed and during that 8 hours, you've got to do book work, you've got to do finding new clients, you've got to take out the rubbish, you've got to go and buy stationery, you've got to pay the phone bill, whatever, that's all non-billable. So if you're getting paid $25 an hour for an 8-hour day, that's $200. If you're not making $200 plus money for the business, so if you're only actually working 5 hours of billable time, you've got to be charging $50 an hour to make up not only the $200 that you would have got paid, but you've got to also, as you mentioned before, holiday pay and everything else. And I agree with you. Most people that start a small business go, well, I was making $25 an hour working for the man. So if I charge $30, happy days.
Exactly. And the point that you've mentioned here, of course, is making money for the company or for the business. We don't see ourselves, when we are in that situation, we don't see ourselves as an employee of the company. We just see ourselves as us. We just see ourselves as, what would I like to earn per hour? We don't see it as a business. So what happens is what if one day you decide to take a holiday? You're not earning anymore. Immediately, you're gone. What if one day you'd like to grow it more than your own 38 to 40 or whatever number of hours that you've decided to work? What if you'd like to make a bit more money? There's no capacity for that if the hourly rate that you've set is only the hourly rate that someone would expect to be paid to do that job. Then you haven't left any room for outsourcing it or for handing it to someone else to do the job, because they're not going to be happy with, either they're not going to be happy with the money they're earning once you take some money out for the company, or you're not going to be happy for them making all the money and you making nothing for the company. There's got to be that balance. There's got to be that little bit of margin that the company gets to keep, and then you can be replicated and other people can be put into your place, and then that still makes sense for the business. That's a business. Someone on an hourly rate doing work at 38 to 40 hours a week, that's a job, but a much worse job than a normal job. So because you've got all the risks, you've got all the liabilities, and you've got no guarantees in any way, shape, or form. So that's an example, and that's the problem that many people have when they're saying, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm in business. Yeah, sure, you can do that, but how long is that going to last?
I get it. All right, so let's go to the next point, which is thinking too big.
So actually, before we go, I was going to explain one example actually that just came to mind from
okay, sure.
Someone that I spoke to a couple of days ago. So she was a bookkeeper, startup business, her first business. She was an employee before. She actually smart lady. She was, she was in management. She did quite a bit of work prior to that. But, it ended up in a situation where she could not find a local job. She lost her job and could not find a job, in the local vicinity. So she decided, well, I'll try that, the whole bookkeeping thing. She had some experience and thought, I'll give it a go. Went on, learned about bookkeeping and went on to this Facebook group, one of the groups that she was a member of, and they were helping them set goals for themselves. And then she goes, well, I'm going, I set my goal for 2023 or whatever year it was in 3 years' time, where I'm going to be earning $500,000 per year. Said,
wow.
Okay, that's
as a bookkeeper, wow.
We can all dream, right? We can all have dreams and aspirations. Okay, I said, so how are you going to do that? Bookkeepers, at least around in this country, are earning somewhere between, I don't know, $80 an hour, 75, 85 maybe, I don't know. But that's the last time that I dealt with bookkeepers. They were at that rate. So for you to make $500,000 from being a bookkeeper, that means you're working 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I don't know if that's sustainable. It's not exactly sustainable. And she really didn't have an understanding of the detail that's required between where she's at now, and she had 0 clients, to getting the $500,000. And you know what? I said to her, look, it's actually not impossible. Let's think about it. If you went out and got the work, which was, the clients were the local grocer, the local, flower lady, the local corner shop or whatever. That was her target client. I said, that's perfectly good. That's perfectly okay. You would charge them this much per month. But what about you outsource the work to someone overseas who could be in the Philippines or otherwise? You learn the job, you do it well, you know how to do it well, you know how to check on it, you know how to oversee, you know how to supervise. You've already been in management, so that's half the game. That's good, that's great. And then you charge the work out at your $70, $80 an hour, and you can find some really good people in the Philippines after you've tested them and tried them and checked them and do all that at $10 an hour, $15 an hour. That's Australian dollars I'm talking. US, different story, but I'm just converted. So, and then she starts thinking, she's going, okay, that kind of makes sense. And we worked backwards. We said, okay, what if we still go with your $500,000? She was already starting to think, oh, maybe $500,000 is a little bit too much. Maybe I'm really, $250,000 would have been great. I said, oh, let's start with $500,000. And then we went backwards. We said, okay, $500,000 turnover, minus the cost, minus this, minus that, times that. We worked it out just very quickly. It was on the phone. It was nothing too complicated. And it's actually not impossible. It is possible. It is possible, but with some detail attached to it, with some practical sense attached to it, if that makes sense. A plan, and knowing what's out there, knowing what's available. Outsourcing to the Philippines, she goes and gets the work, she onboards the customer, she tests and checks the people that she's putting on, with the number of hours, with the, you know, with the monthly retainer that she's getting from her clients. We even talked about how many clients she would have to get per month, and it was a feasible number. It was like 3 clients that she'd have to land every month, and that's not impossible if she walked around and hustled. So it actually was possible, and I think she ended up potentially netting something like $250,000 out of $500,000 if she really wanted to do that. And she said, gosh, I never thought about it. And this is the problem. Many people have all these aspirations and dreams, and that's perfectly okay. But if you don't think it through, you can't move forward. You can't go anywhere. And that's where I think most people fall short.
So that sounds like an excellent example of someone who was perhaps thinking too big, who actually didn't...
Half too big and half too small. So the dream was...
Yeah.
But the actual practical side of it was too small, and there was no connection between the two from a business science point of view. But
yes.
The connection existed. It was there. It could have been done, and it can be done.
And in actual fact, the connection was you, because you brought those two together.
Yeah. And just from that conversation, I didn't, you know, it was just a casual conversation. She was too scared to get her first client because it was just her first business. She was so overwhelmed by the whole process. How am I ever going to get to the $500,000? How is this even possible? You know, all of that was just playing on her mind. And I said, look, don't think about all these things. Now we have a general, very basic idea of how you can move from here to here. Just go and get the client. Can you do the proposal? Yeah, good. All right. 3 days later, she got her first client. So it was just seeing it. Sometimes all you have to do is just see the other end, and then you just step your way through to the next level.